Earlier this year, Nova Science Now took a detailed look at the risks facing New Orleans should it be hit by a big hurricane. We talked to scientists, and they said, we now have the tools to see a big one coming, to measure its force, to warn officials. We can give our city precious time to prepare. So after Katrina, we wondered, well, did those scientists see it coming? Did they know its power? We sent our correspondent, Peter Standring, to find out.
This was New Orleans the last time I saw it, about a year ago. Back then, the streets of this historic city were alive, buzzing with the sounds of music and laughter, and the Crescent City was in all of her glory. But things then were a lot different than they are today. I was here in New Orleans at this same time last year to file a report on hurricanes for Nova Science Now. I talked to scientists and emergency management officials about what would happen if this city were to be hit by a major hurricane, category 4 or 5. They all agreed that the consequences would be catastrophic. On August 29th, all of their worst fears and premonitions became reality when the killer storm Katrina smashed into the Gulf Coast and the city of New Orleans.
The good news is that this wasn't the worst of the worst-case scenario. The bad news is that even the best of the worst-case scenario for this community resulted in what you see.
Just the year before, a state and federal emergency exercise was undertaken based on a computer model of likely scenarios called Hurricane Pam. On August 27th, with Katrina approaching, Ivor Van Heerden and a team from Louisiana State University plugged the latest data from the storm into the model.
The last one we did showed that New Orleans was actually going to flood. I then sent an email to a lot of different federal agencies, state agencies, the media.
Just as they had planned in the exercises. But the next day, he questioned whether the federal agencies in charge of disaster management had paid any attention to the warnings, in particular the Army Corps of Engineers, charged with monitoring the levees.
The Corps should have been monitoring the levees, and they should have warned everybody when they let go. People went to bed on Monday evening, houses dry, and woke up with water up to their waists.
As the water poured out from the broken levees on the Industrial, London, and 17th Street canals, turning New Orleans into a lake, Ivor's dismay only increased.
I was very angry. I sent out an email to my friends and family. You know, trying to voice my frustration and trying to voice my pain because, you know, we called this thing right. And literally nobody wanted to listen. The bigger problem is that I don't think, under the present situation of disaster management in this country, that the scientists are really taken seriously.
One of the things we forgot is that Katrina is a terrorist. And that terrorist approaches the coastal states every year. We've got to be ready to protect ourselves with all the resources at our disposal, or you're going to see this again and again and again, if not here, in other coastal great old cities across the country.
Special thanks to Louisiana Public Broadcasting for their assistance in the production of this report.